With the recent release this past weekend of the new Star Wars movie Solo, A Star Wars Story, we decided our inaugural episode would be a review of the movie Solo, A Star Wars Story. How was that for an intro?
Spoiler alert, I hated it. Ha!
Okay, spoiler alert, there will be spoilers.
That's true.
Let's go over that first. We are going to be talking through all the details of the movie, so if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want it spoiled, you should not watch this video.
We're holding back nothing for this video.
That is right. Right. So my first question is going to be to you, Joseph. What did you expect from Solo? What did you want out of this movie, and did it meet your expectation?
It did. What should I answer first? The first one or the second one?
What did you expect? What did you want out of the movie?
I expected a fun movie filled with adventures of Han and Chewie, answering a bunch of questions I have about things that we see in 4, 5, and 6. I expected to see a lot of Lando. I expected to see the Kessel Run. I expected some sort of underworld activity. I expected Jabba and or Boba Fett. I thought they were a given for the movie.
My goodness, you expected a lot. Holy cow.
And it did. It partially met my expectations. It was a fun movie, but it left me wanting a whole lot more.
Joseph, do you want to hear what I expected?
Yes, I want to hear what you expected.
Joseph, this is what I expected out of the movie. One word. Nothing. I expected nothing out of this movie, and it blew my expectations out of the water because of that, okay? When they announced this movie, I thought, I don't particularly care to see this.
I 100% agree.
I wasn't super excited about it, and I was very surprised how much I enjoyed this movie. Like, it gave me much more than I thought I was going to get out of this movie, and because of that, because of the low expectation I had, I loved it. I think when I came out of it, I felt like I refused to judge Solo on the same scale that I would judge one of the episode saga movies. Like, it's just a different thing. And so we'll talk about this, I'm sure, in another video in the future about Last Jedi and things like that. But I had such high expectations for The Last Jedi and such low expectations for Solo that really, regardless of the quality of the two films, Solo was always going to do better because it didn't have to do very much to entertain me.
I was worried that they could have made a mistake, and I felt like they did make a mistake for one of the characters that I still do not like.
Okay, that's fair.
Want me to just talk about what it was?
Yeah, you just address that right now.
I did not like the backstory we saw of Chewbacca. Not the backstory of the movie. I loved Chewbacca in the movie. I did not like our introduction to him. Does that make sense? I didn't like how he was this monster killing and, I guess, eating people. Like, I don't like that about Chewbacca. I feel like that ruins a little bit of him as this, I don't know, big giant teddy bear kind of. I mean, he's not a teddy bear, of course. He rips people's arms off. He does all those awesome things. I do not like that he was this. But here's the thing. I loved the fight scene with him and Han. I loved how I was surprised that it was Chewbacca. I was like, oh, dang. But then I was like, but wait. That means, I don't know. It just kind of messed up him in my head a bit. I feel like there could have been other ways to introduce us to Chewbacca. But
I
having
agree.
said that, I loved the scene. I loved him and Han. That was a very fun introduction to their friendship.
How did you feel about Han being able to speak Shriwook?
Well, it's the same thing about Rey.
You?
No, it's true. We're the only ones on board. You can understand that thing?
And that thing can understand you too, so watch it.
I mean, it's just like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're not going to figure out... I mean, maybe they should have done something when he was on Corellia, like shown him talking to a Wookiee with Lady Proxima's group or whatever, but then again, whatever.
One, I could be wrong, but it is like the only time on screen, at least, that we've ever seen anyone but a Wookiee speak it. So that was, I kind of felt like, how does Han know how to speak this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's so random. Secondly, I thought I'm very excited now because I can rewatch the original trilogy and kind of use this as a Rosetta Stone and now translate everything that Chewbacca says in the original trilogy, and so I can add subtitles just for my own enjoyment. So I'm excited about that. So was that your biggest character complaint then, was Chewbacca?
No, I think my biggest one is Kira. I feel
Really?
like she is an underserved character of this movie.
Okay, what do you mean underserved?
I feel like we need more about her. The way that she turns at the end, we don't understand why she's doing it. And I would have liked to have known as an audience, why is she doing this? Like, we don't need to be from Han's perspective here, like, oh, she's this nice, lovable person who... I wanted to see her bad side, to see what she actually did, so that her actions are justified when she does them. Because all of a sudden I'm like, oh, she's going to be evil. That's really weird. And then she, like, leaves, and I'm like, well, I want to know what happened. Like, what's going on with her?
Okay. On my notes, it's so interesting you bring this up because I was shocked how much I liked Kira and thought, like, the Kira-Han relationship was extremely compelling to me in this movie. To the point where when we walked out, I told Corey, my wife, I believe the Han-Kira romance way more than I believe the Han-Leia romance. Like, it was way more genuine to me than the Han-Leia romance in the original trilogy. And at the end, I feel like when she kills Drayden and then, I guess, betrays Han, is that what we're going to say? Is that we use that word? She
I don't
betrays
even know.
Han.
Did she really betray him?
I don't think she did. That's the thing. I wrote down on my paper, like, is Kira a villain? Is she a bad guy in this movie? And I don't think she is. I think this is what I think her motivation was at the end. And this is just my speculation, obviously. She did not want to continue to be this underling / indentured servant of Drayden Voss.
Uh-huh.
So she killed him. But when at the end, the big reveal of Maul being the real leader of the Crimson Dawn crime syndicate, and he called her by name, which makes me believe he knows who Kira is.
Mm-hmm.
So even by killing Drayden, she does not then have anonymity where she can just go off with Han. Maul might potentially go after her or track her down.
I see what you're
And
saying.
so
that's what
if
Beckett
you
said to
notice-
Han at the beginning, right?
Right, and if you notice when she is addressing Maul, she only outs Beckett. She does not mention Han at all. She says that Tobias Beckett betrayed and killed Drayden, all this kind of stuff, and which in my mind was confirmation that she is still loyal to Han, but she also recognizes she can't get out of that life at that moment. And going off with Han could potentially put Han in danger if Maul starts to come after them. And for the continuity, I think, of the original trilogy, Maul can never know about Han Solo. Like, it just wouldn't work, because then it'd be like, well, so is Maul chasing Han up until A New Hope? Or until, I guess, Maul dies on Tatooine.
Right.
In Rebels, but... So, anyway, I found Kira extremely compelling, and felt like that last scene with her, she was almost protecting and shielding Han by making up a lie to Maul and saying Beckett was involved and all that stuff, and kind of making sure that Han and Chewie kept their anonymity from that more powerful upper kind of echelon of the crime world, the underworld, and things like that.
That's interesting. I didn't think about it that way. I just saw it as a very unsatisfying ending for her.
So, the beginning, Corellia. What did you think of Corellia?
I loved Corellia. I wish more of the movie could have taken place there. I wanted to see more of that. What is it like on a world taken over by the Empire? Because we really don't see much of that in any movie except for Rogue One on Jeddah, which I love all the scenes on Jeddah. And then in the Star Wars Battlefront 2 video game where you're on Iden Versio's planet, like, that's my favorite level. That Empire, what's her planet? That's
Vardos.
Vardos. I love that stuff. So I would have loved to see more. And this kind of goes to my overall feeling. I wish there was more Empire. I know it's kind of like supposed to be like this pirate sort of Western with the heist movie, but I would have liked to see a bigger presence from the Empire, and that's why I liked the Corellia stuff. I did not like, however, I didn't understand the scene at the end with the two areas. I didn't understand what was going on there. So they were trying to get onto a ship to leave, right? But then, so Han gets to that area, but instead, while he's in that area, he joins the Empire instead? Is that what happened? I thought that was boarding place for like a spaceship off the planet, so I was a little bit confused there.
I think that it served kind of a dual purpose. I think it's a spaceport, and where you could probably pick up commercial flights or freighters or whatever, but then there's also this Imperial recruiting booth there also. And which brings up actually one of the few things I did not like about the Corellia scene. I hated when this stupid Imperial recruiter is like, "Oh, you don't have any family? Huh. Solo."
I hated that too.
Like, that is so dumb. Like, why did you do that? Like, literally, he got his last name from an Imperial recruiter, just ad-libbing what his surname should be because he didn't have a people. That doesn't make sense to me. I didn't like that. I thought it kind of took me out of the moment. Like, it was too gimmicky.
Do you remember that call from Bob Iger like a year ago where he let it slip that Han Solo was about how Han got his name? And everyone was like, "Are you nuts? That's not his real name." And everyone else was saying, "Oh, he was just misspoken. He didn't really know what he was talking about. It's obviously his real name." Well, here we go. It wasn't his real name.
Yeah. Talk to me about what you thought about Enfys Nest.
That was probably my favorite part of the movie. Especially
What?
the reveal at the end. I did not see that coming.
What are you talking about?
What?
It is arguably the most disappointing part of the movie.
That Enfys Nest is the beginning of the rebellion?
Oh my gosh.
I loved it. Because
First
I
of
didn't
all,
see it coming. They built it up as this big villain, and instead of Phasma, where they're just like, "Oh, we're not going to use her," they're like, "Oh, switcheroo. Here's 2 tubes." And this, I don't know, what was her name? Did she have a name? Did we learn a name?
so when she first revealed herself, I literally thought, I'm like, is this supposed to be the child of Beckett and Val?
That's exactly what I thought. I think it has to be. But
But
then,
it's not.
it's
It's
not
not.
because Beckett doesn't really seem to care about her or know who she is or whatever. I was
She walks right up to him, and they're like this close, and I'm like, are they gonna hug? Are they father? Like what? Like, I had no idea what was happening, and then it was like, nope, they're not related at all. It's just this weird, like, why do Han and Kira and Beckett and Chewie all have this like odd reaction to her. If is it because she looks so young? I have no idea. The whole scene was confusing to me. I'm like, am I missing something? Why is this so significant right now?
I agree. I think they should have made her I think she should have been the daughter of Beckett and Val. I agree. I agree that it was a strange reveal, but I liked that it was a reveal. I liked that it was a good character, and I liked the thought behind it of like we're not this crime syndicate. We're trying to get this away from the crime. That was a very interesting plot line.
All right. Last character I'll ask you about. What did you think about L3?
I'm worried because I feel like we have not been agreeing. So I'm interested to see if you agree with me on this one.
Okay, on 3, let's both say either love her or hate her. Okay. On 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Love her.
Love her. Gosh, we agreed. It was crazy. We agreed.
You didn't like her?
This is what I'll say. The longer she had, the more scenes she had, the more and more I started to like her.
Uh-huh.
When we first met her, I thought, no, I'm not on board for this. This is like another taking me out of the moment, way too over the top with the humor and the sarcasm. This droid is like larger than life personality, totally taking me out of the movie. Then as she continued to kind of settle in and have more interactions with the other characters, I was laughing. I thought she was super funny. I loved the droid revolt on Kessel that she like led this revolution. I thought it was super funny.
Uh-huh.
But I had to kind of ease into the character when we first met her during the Sabacc game, and she's like, trying to get the droids in the fighting ring to like stand up for themselves. I'm like, what is this? Like, this is so out of what we're even focused on in this movie. But I came around. I ended up loving her. I love that she became like the brain of the Falcon, because there are so many parts of the original trilogy where Han like
I wanna buckle up, baby.
talks Falcon, or like when they're in the him and Luke are in the cannons doing the TIE fighters or whatever, and he's like she'll hold together, and then like something else happened. He's like, "Hear me, baby, hold together."
Lost lateral controls.
Don't worry, we'll hold together. Hear me, baby, hold together.
So it like gives a whole lot more meaning.
Yep.
To the Falcon in the original trilogy. I think that she's like a part of the Falcon and stuff like that. So I liked her. I did like her. So speaking of the Falcon, I really, really liked the Kessel Run. Like all of the scene of Han flying the ship through the Kessel Run, I thought was fantastic. The peak of it being for me when Kira is like, when he's like, we need to deflect all the power to the rear shields or whatever. I don't know what he says. And Kira's like, yeah, we should do that. Clearly has no idea how to do that. And so they're just all kind of sitting there, and Chewie's like, all right, I guess I'm doing it. And he's like, click, 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 flip, 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 click, click, click. And one of the things that I think they did really well in this movie was they cued significant moments perfectly with the music, with the score, to where like when Chewie does all that, Han does a little joke about 190, you look great, and then Kira sits back and says, here, Chewie, sit down. As soon as he sits down and they're both sitting there for the first time, it's like immediately they cue the original score from episode 4, and it's like, it's awesome. It's like this awesome moment where the music is familiar. It's like their first time flying the Falcon together. I loved it. I was like totally, even if it was fan service, I don't care. I'm like, this is awesome. I love this moment. I love the music. I think I loved the music for the whole movie because I feel like it was new and fresh enough, but they brought back like familiar
Uh-huh.
themes, things like that at important moments. But
Okay, Sean, now that we've talked about all the things we liked and didn't like about Solo: A Star Wars Story, what did you think overall about the movie?
overall, I loved the movie, and I'll tell you why. I did not have to think too hard about whether or not I liked it. It was very simple, straightforward. I had a great time. I had fun. I didn't have to walk out of the movie and think, "Oh, did I enjoy it? Did I not enjoy it?" It was just this raw kind of, yeah, just a raw reaction. I really liked this movie. I thought that it brought a lot of great things to the franchise, and I didn't have as much of an expectation. It didn't need to be a Last Jedi or a Force Awakens huge epic movie. It was more personal, individual adventure, and I loved it.
How many salty socks out of 10 would you give Solo: A Star Wars Story?
If we're ranking in terms of salty socks, so the more salty socks, the better, I'm guessing, on this.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to give Solo: A Star Wars Story 7 salty socks out of 10.
Oh, good. Cool.
Okay, so now, Joseph, now that we've talked about everything, what do you think about Solo: A Star Wars Story?
I left the movie thinking, did I like this movie? And I still don't know if I like it or not. Because let me in under 45 seconds try and tell you why. There's so much dialogue and so many empty scenes that I felt like I remember thinking several times throughout the movie, okay, when are we getting to the action? When are we getting to the good stuff? When are we gonna, I had all these things I wanted to see, and I was like, okay, let's move it along. Quit chit-chatting. That being said, I very much liked it.
All right, so then, Joseph, with that in mind, how many salty socks do you give Solo: A Star Wars Story?
I'm going to give it 5 very salty socks.
All right, so I am higher up on the salty socks scale than you are for Solo. During our next video, we're going to be talking about, now that there are 10 Star Wars movies, where do we rank them in terms of our most favorite down to our least favorite? So just a little teaser for the next video, Joseph. What number do you slot Solo in your rank of the top 10 Star Wars movies?
Okay, I'm going to give you 2 numbers. The first number is what I told my friends the 5 minutes after I walked out of the theater. That number is number 10 out of 10.
What?
Yep.
But it's changed since then, now that you've had some sleep and some sense knocked into you?
I think now it is probably number 8 on my list.
All right, that's fine. So are you going with 8 or 10? Because if it's 10, I need a whole video by itself for you to explain to me how it is worse than Attack of the Clones. I need you to explain that to me.
And I was doing it on Friday night, but it's number 8 right now.
Okay. I didn't think that I was going to be like the champion of Solo: A Star Wars Story, but that's what this is turning out to be. I have it slotted in number 6 for me.
Oh, I thought you were going to put it higher. That's
No.
good.
No, but I think that you will not be happy with other rankings that I have.
I
But
know.
it is right now sitting at number 6 for me. I think the rankings for both of us will fluctuate all the time, but right now, Solo is 6th in the lineup. Well, guys, we appreciate everyone who has watched the video. It was fun for us to do. I think that as we move forward, we will get better at not rambling as much, and hopefully with Joseph's magic editing skills, this was not an hour and 8 minutes long. And we will, as the channel progresses and continues to grow, we will be soliciting more feedback. So if you think that we left something out that you want to hear thoughts on, or that you want to share your thoughts, leave it in the comments below. We are very interested in hearing what you have to say about Solo: A Star Wars Story, and hope to bring you another video soon. So thanks for watching.
And keep those socks salty.
I totally forgot about that.
Let's just leave it at that. Let's just leave it at that. And keep those socks salty. See ya.